The other day we showed you a leveling project where we used the laser level and we leveled a pad for a shed. We used Vinny and the power rake. Yep, the power rake is my favorite attachment for Vinny. But we have a power rake for Johnny. I'm wanting to see if we can do the same work with this power rake that we can with the Ventrac power rake, because this actually might be an option for some of you guys. Let's get started. It's really dark in here. It's late in the day here in the winter, and it gets dark early, and we just don't have time to get everything done. So we may not get some really good video of the power rake in action, but we'll give it a try. There's going to be a difference between this episode and the last episode with Vinny's power rake, and that is that we probably won't use the laser level for this. If we do, it'll be kind of right at the end. The reason we don't need to use a laser level is because we've already leveled these 6x6s along both sides. So on both sides of the facility, I have a grade indicator. This is not going to be for concrete, so we're really not necessarily needing perfect detail, but we are going to put pallet racking in here, so we need pretty good detail. Yeah. Now, if you've been watching this project, this is the second time that we've proceeded to level this. We took all of the rock out, put plastic down, and now we brought all the rock back in again. We added that plastic at a viewer's suggestion to try to minimize the amount of condensation that we get on the roof. We don't yet know how effective that will be, as the rock we brought back in was pretty wet. Hopefully as this rock dries out, we'll see less and less condensation. This power rake only spins forward, so I really can only drive forward with it. I kind of like driving forward, but that means that my tractor is on uneven ground that's not been worked yet with the power rake, contrasted with Vinny, which goes over it after it's been worked. I'm overlapping just a tire track here so that I can get at least one wheel on the smoother, already leveled surface. I'm running it fairly aggressive for this first trip over, just to get some of the worst humps out of it. Having used this machine a while, I believe I've identified two reasons why it does a really good job of leveling. The first is the rear gauge wheels. You can see how those rear gauge wheels allow the machine to flex and essentially smooth out or level out those humps as it goes over them. So if that were the only trick necessary, we could perhaps use a landscape rake with rear gauge wheels, which we have. But I believe the other feature is equally important, or maybe even more important. The spinning action helps it to dig in, whereas a landscape rake or other attachment might just kind of float over the top of that harder rock. This spinning action digs in, stirs up that rock, and pushes it in front of the unit until it finds a low spot where it drops it off. Now notice how intently I'm looking at the rake here. I'm wanting to make sure I don't pull up any of that plastic that I've laid down. I'm really focused on it, and then... Oh my goodness. Didn't take long. I poked a hole right in the side of the canvas right here. Yeah, I'll share some more about that in a minute. I'm a little less aggressive. I've got it a little bit higher for this second trip over. All I did to make it less aggressive was raise the 3-point just a little bit. This is an area where having that position control really shines. It gives you a lot more accuracy and control on your implement working height. If you watch closely, you'll see that there's not nearly as many of those up and down flexing gyrations, or at least they're not nearly as magnified as they were earlier. Every trip over makes a huge difference in this process. Now I've angled the rake to the right. I want to push some rock over there toward the edge. There's a little bit of a furrow there that needs to be filled in. Here's a good view of me pushing that rock toward the furrow there right along the edge. I won't be able to get it perfect with the power rake, but I can leave some piles along there such that I can quickly hand rake it to finish it off. Okay, I think I'm probably good enough here. I've made, I believe, either 3 or 4 trips through it. 2 trips, one was pretty aggressive, and I just went straight back and forth on both of the first 2 passes. On the 3rd and 4th passes, I moved the material a little bit left to right, and I think that helped a lot. As you saw, I tore up the vinyl, and I have a hard time watching the front of my machine and the back of my machine at the same time. Now, once I tear something up, I don't have any problem watching it from then on, so it's not like I'm going to do it twice. But I just don't get everything in my head at the appropriate time to think about it. And I already heard it rip as I was, focusing on the back side of the power rake, trying to get around something, and then, yeah, I heard it. So there will be more to the Shelter Logic story. We'll have to figure out how to patch that, if it's even possible. I don't know. If you know how to get it patched and to get it patched remotely, in other words, they would have to come out here and patch it, or I would have to patch it out here, leave a comment below and let us know how we might do that.
Duct tape.
Duct tape. I don't know, Christy. I'm not too sure about that. If I had been using Vinny the Ventrac, I wouldn't have ripped the canvas. How's that for a statement? The machine would have been out in front of me. I would have had an easier time navigating just because of the way the machine works. And I could have went a bit more crossways to have got some side-to-side humps and dips out of it, which is a little bit hard for me to do here with this machine. It's just longer.
Could have taken your loader off.
Could have and should have taken the loader off in retrospect. Yeah, that's what Christy just said, and I don't blame her at all for saying that. It really frustrates me because the best part of this Shelter Logic was the big canvas over the top. It has been structurally great so far. Not as pleased with the ends. I think we've got a little more work to do with the ends, but the structure over the top has been great. Now I've ripped it on the side, so we'll see how long that works out for us. I think I'm going to have to take a rake here and a shovel and work in these corners and along the edges where I couldn't quite get up very close to it. Other than that, I think we are ready for Ham. Ham the roller. Well, Chris, I guess I'm going to have to call you the official pork producer of Tractor Time with Tim.
Because of ham?
Because you brought ham to us.
That's true.
And in honor of that, I think we should make you the official ham operator.
That might be dangerous. I don't have a lot of...
Do you have a ham operator's license?
No, I don't.
Okay.
But I might be able to run the roller.
Okay. You can drive. Let's get going. Did we really need a vibratory roller for this project? Of course not. But when Chris mentioned he knew someone that would be willing to loan one to us, I jumped at the chance. Seemed like a lot of fun to me.
Want them both on?
Yeah, I thought the front wasn't on.
What?
Letting it sit for just a moment there, it digs out a little holes. See them right here? Gotta keep moving. We could feel the ground vibrating at least 25 feet away. I really don't know how much compaction it's doing. I mean, visually, you don't see a lot here. Overall, it just looks smoother after you've been over it. Maybe an 1/8 of an inch or 1/16 of an inch, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like it's pushing it down an enormous amount. When we played with it before, we saw that it magnifies every bit of unevenness in the surface. So it actually pleases me to see that it's still relatively smooth after he's been over it a couple of times. While Chris is running ham, I think I'll see if I can get the little plate compactor fired up and do the trim work. I didn't show it on camera, but on even the coldest day, the little Honda engine on this thing starts on at least the second or third pull. You can tell by looking at it, it's not new, and it's not been treated incredibly kindly during its years either. In fact, the right handle is broken there at the bottom side. Looks like some strategically wrapped duct tape is keeping it together. But hey, it's doing the job, and actually it looks like it's doing just as much as the big vibratory roller. I like this camera angle, as you can see the rocks and soil moving forward in front of those big rollers coming along. I think it's really fascinating. This machine's got a very nice hydrostatic drive. It drives really nicely. Probably my only complaint is that it doesn't turn very short. But I'm sure that's a requirement as well, especially if you're working on asphalt. I would doubt you want it to turn very short in that situation. We soon got bored shooting video, so we put the camera away, but Chris kept going over this for quite some time. I don't know how many trips back and forth he made over it. But he went for another 15-20 minutes, maybe even 30 minutes after we turned the camera off. Chris, I can see that you got it pretty smooth here. My question is it really compacting more, or is it just like pushing out to the side?
You know, and I be honest with you, I don't know. It all have to do with how many fines there are in the gravel. You know, the more fines you have that you can compress, but once you've got that base down, I think you're pushing the top rock around.
Yeah, I think so. And I suspect when we get in here starting to load these pallet racks, we'll probably stir up all that middle again.
Yeah, hopefully not, but we'll see. But yeah, as you start to load the racks, I'm sure you're going to dig in with the cleats of the tractors.
Yeah,
that will happen.
Yeah, you know, I think you've earned your ham operator's license.
That's good. So would that be KSA 670?
I don't know. It could be.
It could be. I know that number.
What is that number?
Sheriff of Boone County.
Oh, that's the sheriff's.
It was. It was when we were on Plan A, where it was actually it was an open network or shared network.
Okay.
So you had to call that on a daily basis or every so many hours.
Little known, but useless fact.
There you go.
Hey, I think that's it for this episode. We've packed all we can into it.
Yeah. A pun is a good pun.
So let's get rolling on to our next episode. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time on Tractor Time with Tim.